Buckle up for a deep dive that'll stay with you. We're going to Germany to unpack the case of Marianne Bachmeyer, a woman whose life was all about vengeance and justice, that murky place where the two meet.
This deep dive, well, it goes deep into the human mind under pressure. We're not just looking at a crime. We're trying to understand what makes a person snap.
Right. And the source material for this deep dive, it lays out Marianne's whole life story. And the question we're wrestling with is, was her revenge justified, or did she become a cold-blooded killer?
Oh, that's a tough one. No easy answers there. But to really get Marianne, we need to go way back, understand all the trauma she went through.
Yeah. The document doesn't hold back. It describes her childhood. Imagine growing up the daughter of a former Nazi officer, estranged from your own mother. Talk about a rough start, huh?
Oh, yeah. And for Marianne, that was just the beginning. 16 years old, forced to give up her first child. Then 2 years later, another assault, another forced adoption.
It's like blow after blow. How could someone not be affected by that? What would that kind of trauma do to a person?
Forced adoptions, especially back then, can leave deep scars. The guilt, the loss, the feeling of being completely helpless. She probably saw the world as this dangerous, unpredictable place.
Like she was carrying around all this grief, and then finally she had Anna, a daughter she could raise and love.
You can see how Anna became everything to her. Redemption, a second chance at motherhood. But that was all ripped away.
And that's where the story takes a really dark turn. Anna, only 7, is lured to the house of Klaus Grabovski, the local butcher.
And that's where it happened. Grabovski assaults and murders Anna, tries to hide her body in his yard. It's just chilling.
Can you imagine? Finally having something good in your life and then having it ripped away so brutally.
We have to remember, Anna's murder, it wasn't just a random act. It was like the final straw after a lifetime of trauma.
The document takes us to the courtroom, Grabovski's trial. And then things explode. Out of nowhere, Marianne walks up to Grabovski and shoots him 8 times.
7 of those bullets hit him. She calls him a pig, says she wanted to shoot him in the face. Total chaos.
At first, Marianne said she was in a trance, like she didn't know what she was doing. But a lot of people thought it was planned. Revenge.
That's where the document gets interesting. It starts to lay out the evidence. What looked like a sudden outburst of rage, well, it starts to look more complicated.
For instance, she smuggled a gun into the courtroom. That's not easy. Makes you wonder how planned this really was.
Right. And there's more. The document says she was practicing with the gun before the shooting, so it was deliberate.
And then there's the note. She wrote it before going to court. I did it for you, Anna, and 7 hearts. 1 for each year of Anna's life. And the same number of bullets that hit Grabovski.
That note, it gives us a glimpse into her mind. Pure vengeance. A cry for justice. Or just pure grief driving her mad. Lots to unpack there as we go deeper.
Man, this case really got people talking, didn't it? It was all over the news in Germany.
Oh, yeah, totally. The document talks about how people were split right down the middle. Some saw her as this, heartbroken mom who just snapped, They thought she was a vigilante taking justice into her own hands because the system let her down.
Like they got that need for revenge, that feeling when something awful happens and you're just powerless to stop it. They saw what she did as, well, a messed up kind of mother's love.
Yeah, exactly. But then there were the people who said, no way. No matter how bad things get, you can't just kill someone. They believed in the law. They thought Marianne had to face the music.
So you've got empathy on one side and then the whole idea of justice on the other. Both sides make sense. It makes you think about how far the law can go and how complicated our feelings can be. Where's the line?
That is the question, isn't it? And the document, it goes into what happened to Marianne legally. 6 years in prison, that's what she got.
6 years. She shot someone 8 times. In a courtroom. It doesn't seem like a lot.
You'd think so, right? But maybe the court took into account what she'd been through. Losing her daughter like that, in the end, she only served 3 years.
3 out of 6. Wow, and then she got out and left Germany. Tried to start over somewhere new, I guess.
It doesn't end there, though. Years later, she goes back to Germany, does this TV interview, and she drops a bomb. Changes everything.
I know. Remember how she said she was in a trance when she shot Grabovski? Turns out that was a lie?
Yep. She admits in this interview that she planned the whole thing, every little detail. Practiced with the gun, snuck it into the courtroom, even wrote that note. All calculated.
Total opposite of what we thought at first. Everyone felt so bad for her, thought she just snapped.
Yeah.
But she knew exactly what she was doing the whole time.
Makes you think, right? About Marianne, what she did and what we thought about her. It's like all our assumptions just gone. We're in this moral maze now.
Does it change how we see her? Is it better or worse, knowing the truth? Does it change how we feel about the justice system, even about justice itself?
Big questions, uncomfortable questions. And there aren't any easy answers.
It's like we thought we had this puzzle figured out, and then all the pieces changed.
Marianne's case, it shows us how slippery truth can be. What we think we know is often just a tiny part of the story. The truth, well, sometimes it's messy, not what we expect.
So where do we go from here? We started out feeling sorry for Marianne, but now we're not so sure. It's a lot to process.
Her story really shows us the power of, well, love and revenge, right? It's like there's this darkness inside all of us, and it comes out when we're hurting.
Makes you think about how our justice system works. Can it really deal with something this complicated? Can you punish someone and still try to understand them? Can there be accountability and healing at the same time?
People have been asking those questions forever, and Marianne's case just makes it even harder.
I know, right? The document doesn't give us any easy answers, just a lot to think about. What part of this deep dive really got to you?
For me, it's how Marianne's story shows that truth is different for everyone. The way we see things depends on what we know, and we never have the whole story. We thought she just snapped, but then she told us she planned it, and that changes everything.
Yeah, it's like a reminder to think critically. Don't just believe what you see at first. There's always more to it.
Absolutely. This case shows us we have to question things, look deeper. The truth is usually more complicated than it seems.
Well, I think we did a good job with this one. It was a tough case, full of sadness, anger, empathy, confusion, maybe even a little fear.
It's amazing how one story can make us think about so many things. Human nature, justice, the choices we make when things go wrong.
I want to leave our listeners with one last thought. Imagine you're Marianne. You lose your child in such a horrible way. Could you resist getting revenge? Or would you be like her, wanting to make things right no matter what? It's a scary thought, but it's worth thinking about after hearing this case.
And as you think about that, remember this. Every story has many sides. Every action has a reason behind it. Truth is rarely simple. And justice, real justice, is hard to find.